Konbanwa minasan. Good evening everyone. Konnichiwa Vince. This is Vince Sensei again. Minasan, everyone. On our last lesson concerning grammar or regarding grammar or bunpo, Nihongo bunpo, we have discussed the negative form of a verb in its present tense. and before that lesson we have also discussed the extraction of stem, or getting acquiring the skill of getting the mass stem of a verb, or the extracted stem of a verb. So these are essential skills, I'm telling you everyone, because these are building blocks for our next lesson. So right now we are dealing with the past tense of verbs. So as indicated here, we have finished defining the basic properties of verbs, and this is an essential part because you will be needing this kind of conjugation, and if you will also know if we will come to the te form or te form of a verb, the rules with the past tense is the same with the te form, or the continuative and state of a verb. So let's go. では行きましょう。So please screenshot this vocabulary. We'll just speak some of these enumerated verbs, like the deru, a very common verb deru, meaning to come out. But sometimes if you will come out from your house, dekakeru, or have come out of the house, dekaketa. But also coming out from a door, deru, or coming out from a hole, also deru. But there are also cases that you have to use the extracted form or kunyomi compounding the mass stem for the deru, that's the kakeru. So mass stem of deru or extracted form of deru is de, because deru is ichidan. De plus kakeru, dekakeru. The same meaning also means to come out, or come out of office, come out of the house. Please screenshot this vocabulary, minasan. Okay, so eiga is movie, gohan rice, taberu to eat, zenbu everything, miru to see. So right now we will start off with because we all know that we have two classification of verbs. The first classification is the ru verb, or also known as ichidan verbs, and the second classification is the yu verb, or also known as godan verbs in other books. But right now we will first divide the rulings. So we'll start with the easy part is the ichidan verb, or the ru verb. So for the ru verb, please screenshot this small cheat sheet. To change the ru verbs into its past tense, it's simple. Just drop the ru part at the right side, drop the ru part, and replace that ru with the ta. Just like here, deru becomes deta, suteru becomes teta. What is suteru? Suteru is a ru verb or ichidan verb, meaning to throw away. Say, throw away garbage, suteru, or throw away throw away a trash. Gomi wo suteru. Suteru, throw away. So examples here, deru becomes deta, suteru becomes suteta. So what have we noticed here? Actually, minasan, everyone, the rule here, as we have seen, the rule here, the past tense of a verb or its non-keigo form, because right now we are on the sub-lesson non-keigo form, past tense for a non-keigo. Keigo means the formal type of Japanese or polite form of Japanese, because in Japanese learning, it is a more difficult lesson to jump readily to the honorifics or keigo or polite forms. The strategic way is to teach ourselves first with the non-keigo form or contracted form before we jump up to a more difficult Japanese way of speaking, which is the polite form or keigo form. So right now we are on the past tense of a verb, non-keigo form, non-polite form. Past tense of a verb in a non-keigo form actually follows the alternative rule for past tense. So this is where the skill of extracted stem will come. Okay, this is where the extracted stem comes. So the rule is extracted stem or mass stem plus ta, because in extraction of a stem we drop something, for ichidan we drop the ru. So extracted stem of a verb or mass stem of a verb, and then simply add ta for the contracted form or non-formal, non-keigo Japanese speech. And for extracted stem and for the past tense for the keigo form, extracted stem of a verb. So if you have the extracted stem or mass stem, you add mashita. This is the polite form or keigo form or honorifics, but this is a more difficult topic, and we will discuss the polite form or keigo form later. So you see, the point here is we first learn how to get the mass stem and extracted stem so that we can apply this rule. Again, extracted stem plus ta simply gives you the past tense contracted form for ru verb or ichidan verbs. Okay, so we go now. So examples. Gohan is rice. Gohan wa tabeta. Or as for the meal or rice, because sometimes gohan can also have a nuance of a meal, not just rice. Gohan wa tabeta, as for the meal, ate or eaten or ate. And eigawa zenbu mita. Eigawa zenbu mita. As for the movie, saw them all, meaning all of the sections, all of the parts of the movie, saw them all, because it seems here that the movie has many parts. So as for the movie, saw it all. Eigawa zenbu mita. Now that's the easy part, the ichidan verb or ru verbs. Now we go for the past tense of yu verbs or past tense of godan verbs. So minasan, please screenshot this vocabulary. Hanasu, to speak. Kaku, write. Oyogu, to swim. Nomu, to drink. Asobu, to play. Shinu, to die. Kiru, to cut. Cow, buy. Mots, to hold. Suru, exception word. Kuru, to come. Iku, to go. Kyo, today. Hashiru, although iru a few cases of iro that is not ru verb but actually yu verb or godan. Hashiru is not ichidan, not ru verb but actually a yu verb or godan. Hashiru, tomodachi, friend. Watashi, I. Benkyo, study. So this is the more tricky part. So the first one is easy. So right now, please remember that we have a particular lesson here, the past tense of a verb in its contracted form or non-keigo form. The iku or to go, iku is a regular yu verb or regular godan verb in all other conjugations other than this sub-lesson or subtopic. So this is the cheat sheet table. Minasan, may I request you to please screenshot these tables. But I have a better mnemonics other than this. Aside from this, I have a better mnemonics. Okay, so the mnemonics is a system of memorizing something, or your technique in memorizing. Mnemonics: kako kei, hite kei, kako hite kei, past tense and past negative forms. So mnemonics for past tense of a verb. So we have divided the grouping. So you need memorization on this, but we have mnemonics to memorize the grouping. So for the godan verbs or yu verbs, it is divided into six categories. Okay, first category, su verbs. Example of su: hanasu. Hanasu means to speak or to converse. Hanasu. So the su, I place a hyphen to denote that it is on the rightmost part or suffix. Hanasu simply becomes shita. So the hanasu here becomes hanashita. Hanasu, hanas. So hanasu becomes hanashita. So again, what we have observed here, group 1, su. This group 1 actually follows the alternative rule for past tense of a verb, that is extracted stem or mass stem of a verb plus ta, if we are talking about the contracted form or non-formal Japanese speech, and extracted stem or mass stem of a verb plus mashita for the polite form or keigo form, or the mass form or keigo form, or honorifics. For kugu, because we're not yet on the mass form or keigo form, so we are now on the past tense contracted form or non-keigo form. For the kugu verbs, kugu, example is ku, say kaku. Kaku means to write. Kaku means to write. This is kaku. Kaku becomes kaita because the ku here is being removed and being replaced by ita. The ku, you drop the ku and replace it with ita, so the kaku becomes kaita. Kaku, kaita. For the gu verbs, you drop the gu and replace it with ida. Drop the gu and replace it with ida, as in oyogu. Oyogu, meaning to swim. Oyogu becomes oyoida. And now the third group number 3, utsuru. This is what I call the utsuru group. Utsuru group all conjugates to ta. This is not just an ordinary ta. It's a double T. TTA. So if you will speak in Japanese, the double T or the double consonant denotes a stress or emphasis in that consonant. So this is TTA or ta or ta. Please give an emphasis to ta. So utsuru will have a form of ta. So what are the example of the utsuru? Let me give you an example of utsuru. Utsuru. What is for the cow. Cow meaning to buy. Cow is kata. Utsuru, the tsu. Motsu becomes mota. The kiru or cut. Kiru ru becomes kita. So that's the third group, the utsuru. Now we go to the fourth group, munubu. This is what I call the group munubu. The munubu group all conjugates to nda, letter N. Nda. So the munubu group, munubu. Sorry for that noise, minasan. Munubu all conjugates to nda, mu unda, nu unda, bu unda. So what are the examples of the munubu group? The munubu group is, let me give you an example. This is munubu. Nomu meaning to drink. Nomu becomes nonda. Shinu meaning to die. Shinu becomes shinda. It's a kazekage-sama ga shinda. Or Abe Daitorio nga shinda. To die, or past tense, died. Asobu, again munubu. Nomu, shinu, asubu is play, so asubu becomes asonda. So continuing, and now the fifth group is the exception verbs. What are the exception verbs? Suru and kuru. Suru meaning to do, kuru meaning to come. We can follow the rule here. We can follow the rule extracted stem or extracted mass stem of a verb plus ta for the contracted form or non-formal Japanese, and for the Keigo form or honorifics or polite form, you get first the extracted stem or mass stem plus mashta. But we later on deal with this Keigo form, but right now we concentrate on the non-formal Japanese form or contracted form. So the suru, what is again the extracted form of suru? Shi. What is again the extracted form of kuru? Ki. That is why the suru becomes shita, and the kuru, this is kuru or to come becomes shita. So that's the fifth group, shita, kuru, suru, and kuru. So what is the sixth group? Don't worry, this is the final one. The sixth group is the iku. The loan example, iku. This is for, and this rule is only very particular to this particular sub-lesson, meaning the past tense of a verb, non-keigo form. The iku doesn't follow the rule for the ku here. The ku here, the ku becomes ita or kaita, meaning to write. The ku becomes ita. But the sixth group or the iku, meaning to go, doesn't follow that ku becomes ita, but rather the iku simply becomes ita. Ita, double T. So that's I, double T. Take note that is a small chu, meaning a consonant doubler. A consonant doubler doubles the consonant of the right right side katakana. So that's ta. So that's double T. The effect of doubling the consonant, we place emphasis or stress. Ita, 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 meaning past tense of to go. Ita. So, but if you're curious what is the Keigo form past tense, it's simply the extracted mass stem or extracted stem of the iku. So what is again the rule? We change the U sound into its I sound, so the iku becomes iki, and then plus mashita, so the iku becomes iki mashita. But that is for the Keigo form. Later on we will discuss that in our later lessons. So summary, let's summarize the groupings. This is for your mnemonic summary of groupings for the past tense, for the U verbs or godan verbs, non-keigo or non-formal. First group, su. Second group, kugu. Third group, utsuru. Fourth group, munubu. Fifth group, exception verbs, suru and kuru. And then the sixth group, the iku. Okay. So in the table here, you can also see suru becomes ta, kuru becomes kita. See, you can also apply the rule for extractive stem for plus ta. And there's an asterisk here for the iku transformed to past tense ita. Exceptions particular only to this conjugation or sub-lesson. So let's have some examples. Kyo wa hashitta. As for today, in Japanese, it is very common that you will see invisible or implied by context. Implied or invisible. When you say implied, it's invisible here and only known by context. Just like this invisible subject. As for today, run. Kyo wa hashita. This is hashiru. The ru becomes ita. So drop the ru, then place with ta. Hashiru becomes hashita. Tomodachi ga shita. Friend is the one that came. Watashi mo asonda. I also played. Benkyou wa shita. Benkyou wa shita. Or I or someone did the studying. About study, someone or I did it. So now let's go to this. Don't worry, this is the last leg of our lesson for today. Okay, sub lesson 3.7.3. The past negative tense for all verbs. So minasan, in the interest of time, may I ask you to please you may screenshot this, pause or screenshot this vocabulary. So we will just pick some. Suteru ru verb or ichidan, to throw away. So tabiru, to eat. Suru, to do. Okane, that's not a verb but it's noun. Money. Aru, verb of existence for inanimate or non-living things. Watashi, myself. Cow, by. Neko, cat. And then iru is a verb of existence for animate things or living things like animals, people, persons. The conjugation rules is very simple here. Remember, minasan, we have a lesson about the negative form. Do you recall the lesson for the negative form of a verb? We've discussed already the negative form of the verb, or the nai form. So the rule, it's very simple. If we want to get the negative past tense of a verb, the rule is simple. First you transform that verb into its the dictionary form into its negative form in present tense. Negative form first in its present tense first, and then after you transform that verb in its, of course that's in present tense, that verb with a nai on its rightmost part, what will you do on that nai? On that nai, you drop the I. You drop the I and simply replace the I with kata. Just like here. Suteru, transform the suteru into its nai form or negative form. Suteru becomes sutenai. So in that nai form, in that let I part, rightmost part, remove that I and replace with kata. So suteru becomes sutenai, and then eventually sutenakata for iku. Iku, what is the nai form or negative form of this verb? Iku is ikanai, because you get the a equivalent or a counterpart in the kana table. We have discussed this already in our past lessons. So what is again the, in that ku, you remove that ku and replace it with its a counterpart in the kana table. So iku becomes ika, then add nai, iku. So ikanai, so, and then we have this negative form already but in present tense, but we want the negative past tense. So after you transform that into a nai form or negative form, remove that I and replace it with kata. So iku, ikanai eventually becomes ikanakata, and there you go, you have the negative past tense. So please Mina, may I ask you to please screenshot this part, some sort of a cheat sheet, so a very swift summary. So let's have some examples. Aris wa tabenakatta. As for Alice, did not eat. Jim nga sinakatta. Jim is the one that did not do. Again, the ga is an identifier particle. We already discussed that in our previous lessons, and ga is also in other textbooks is called the subject marker, and in some sentences except for the passive form sentence, ga is the doer of the action, even though the nuance here is did not do. Jim nga sinakatta. Jim is the one that did not do, and here we have a mo particle. I believe we have discussed the mo particle being the inclusive particle, meaning include also Mr. Bob in the one that did not go. Include also Bob in the persons that did not go. Or translating this, babu mo o kanakata, Bob also did not go. O kani nga nakata. Oh, you went to a movie house and there was no money. Yabai, dangerous. O kani nga nakata. As for money, did not exist. And then, watashi wa kawanakata. Probably lack of money. Tabun kani nga tarinakata. Watashi wa kawanakata. As for me, did not buy. And then, example 6. Neko wa ikanakata, because the present tense supposed to be here, the present tense, neko is not there or kat is not there. Neko wa inai, but we are dealing with the past tense negative, so instead of neko wa inai or neko wa imasen, neko wa inai, so the nai there, you remove the I, replace it with kata. Neko wa inakata. There was no cat. No literal translation. As for cat, did not exist. So let me again have a small cheat sheet here before we wrap up. May I emphasize this to you, minasan. This is just swift, okay, but I want you to understand this purpose. Of course, the reason I introduced the verb stem or extracted stem of a verb is to learn how to conjugate verbs into their polite form, which later we will deal with that polite form or Keigo form. or the mass form. The mass form must always come at the end of a complete sentence and never inside a modifying relative clause. The mass form or the verb in its mass form must always come at the end of a sentence and never inside a modifying relative clause. Later we will appreciate this kind of point. So a verb in its mass form is always at the end part of a sentence and not in the middle part, being a modifier. When we learn compound sentences, we will see that each sub-sentence of a compound sentence can end in mass form as well. To conjugate into the mass form, meaning when you have the mass form, it's already a Keigo form. Just in case you're curious with the Keigo form or mass form, you attach different conjugations of mass. You attach it to the stem depending on the tense. Here is a chart. Minasan, please screenshot this cheat sheet. So conjugation chart, for example, verb asobu. But what is the extracted stem or mass stem of asobu? Asobi is the extracted stem for asobu. So we have here a chart for the mass conjugation. For the mass conjugations, plain form or dictionary form. Plain form, mass. So play asobimasu. Play asobimasu. That's positive. How about the negative? Masen, using masen. Asobimasen, will not play. Asobimasen. For the past tense, using mashita. Asobimashita. How about the past negative, using masen? If asobimashita is the past tense for the mass form, the past tense negative of asubu or asobi is asobimasen deshita. So you see, you get first the negative in its present tense and then make it positive. How do you make the asobimasen in past tense? Masen is already negative, sorry. You get in the present tense negative, but how do you get the past tense negative? In the present tense, you get the negative, and that negative, you add the deshita. So that's asobimasen deshita. So I believe that as far as we could go. On our next lesson, we will deal with this very, very important part also, particles or articles in English. In English, these particles could have a counterpart, articles and prepositions in English language, or similar to the English language in similar terms. Particles are articles and prepositions, but we will deal with that on our next lesson. So for now, thank you for watching until the end, and if I may ask minasan for you to please to like, share, and subscribe, and thank you for watching until the end, and 最後まで見てくれてありがとうございます。And 皆さん like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. また次の動画で until next. So ご視聴くださりありがとうございました。またみんな。バイバイ。